I'd like to talk briefly about a current preoccupation of mine, the Arts Council of Great Britain. Please note the pre-devolution nomenclature. Because in a context in which public subsidy for arts is being slowly or even quickly eroded, it seems like a worthwhile exercise to revisit the point at which it became publicly funded in the first place. So here's an image of the noted pianist Myra Hess playing a gig in a packed-out National Gallery during the Second World War. The gallery's contents were currently residing in a Welsh hillside, and so Hess organised some 1,700 very nearly free concerts with the intention of keeping up morale. And so it was in this context, and for this purpose, that the Arts Council was founded. As John Ruskin said, all pure and noble arts of peace are founded on war. And so it was established not as the Arts Council, but as a dynamic and thrilling-sounding Committee for the Encouragement of Music and the Arts, or CEMA. And it was spearheaded by this guy. Well, I mean, okay, not this guy, because it appears that the internet makes it impossible to find someone who's called Thomas Jones and is the King of Wales. But under Jones, not this one, CEMA developed a strategy of the best for the most, pursuing Jones's philosophy that accessibility to fine arts was the key to a kind of good and, kind of morale-filled country, which was the case until this guy took charge, John Maynard Keynes, although most of us will know him better as the financial architect of the welfare state. He played a key role in the foundation of the Arts Council, which is what CEMA became through a royal charter in 1946, shortly after his death. In Keynes's address to the nation on the subject in 1945 for the BBC, he remarked, "The purpose of the Arts Council of Great Britain is to create an environment, to breed a spirit, to cultivate an opinion, to offer a stimulus, to such purpose that the artist and public can each sustain and live on the other in that union which has occasionally existed in the past and at great ages of a communal civilized life. We look forward to a time when the theatre and the concert hall and the gallery will be a living element in everyone's upbringing, and regular attendance at the theatre and concerts are part of organised education. And nothing can be more damaging than the excessive prestige of metropolitan standards and fashions. Let every part of merry England make merry in its own way. Death to Hollywood," which was pretty powerful stuff, particularly the last part, which caused something of a diplomatic incident. But what Keynes was taking credit for here was the creation of a new arts institution, not a ministry of culture, but a near-autonomous institution combining private initiative and state support, although Keynes didn't live to see it completed, suffering a heart attack at the Royal Opera House and dying shortly after in 1946. One of its greatest early successes was in its contribution with the Labour government of the day, who had promised full access to the arts in their 1945 manifesto, to set up the Festival of Britain. And this image shows the site before the building of the Royal Festival Hall, and you can kind of see Waterloo Station in the background. And obviously, as most of us probably know, its ambition and intent was extraordinary. And in many ways, it kind of met Tom Jones's criteria of the best for the most. And although many of the artworks commissioned were lost, from the obvious structures like the Dome of Discovery and the Skylon down to many of the sculptures which had been made of plaster, it had a really lasting effect. And whilst its architectural legacy in terms of the stuff that was created at the time has been criticised, its greatest achievement has been the provision of a swathe of the South Bank for the ongoing public presentation of the arts. And we should be proud of that intent. The Arts Council was established in order to increase accessibility to the arts, to bring art forms into public ownership, and it was an exceptionally generous idea. Here's a Bernard Shotlander sculpture in Leeds. And yet it was not all perfect. Much of what is currently rotten in contemporary art has its roots in the compromised ideology of the Arts Council's foundation. As with the Bloomsbury Group with which Keynes was affiliated, it was elitist, white, paternalistic, patronising, and limited itself to a very particular idea of art that remains with us today. Keynes abhorred folk art and community art, and his tastes were also responsible for the heavy subsidies that opera and ballet received. But I'd like to conclude on an even earlier idea of what art could be, revived in this poster by Jeremy Deller and Scott King in reaction to the Conservative cuts to public art funding. "I do not want art for a few, any more than I want education for a few or freedom for a few." Thank you.